This city has a problem. Some freak who thinks he's a hero.
Wir haben gerade die Präsentation zu Batman Arkham Origins gesehen und ich habe hier jetzt den Herrn Holmes, das ist der Creative Director von Batman Arkham Origins. Hi, thank you for taking the time. We've seen Batman as he begins his career in this presentation, and some of the questions that came up instantly were, did he kill the guy in the first scene? He let someone drop down, but...
No, he doesn't kill. Batman does not kill anyone.
Where's Black Mask?
Let me go!
If you insist.
Okay, not even at that stage.
Batman in our game is a much more brash and youthful version. He's somewhat arrogant, he's very cocky, and it's a good example of him just being that more brash version of that character. It looks like for a moment he's going to kill him, but the thing is, Batman's really good. He dropped him right into that Christmas tree, and if you listen closely, you can hear the guy shouting, "You're crazy! You're freaking crazy!" when he's at the bottom of the tree.
Okay, so no dead people. I wondered, will we see more of the Bat family, so-called Bat family? So we had Robin in the second game, and now when he's starting his career, is Oracle already around, or is she still just Barbara Gordon, or is she Batgirl, or anything like that?
Well, it's interesting that you have those questions, because we want those questions in people's minds as they're playing through this game. I can tell you that for fans, there's going to be a whole bunch of satisfying coming together of different characters in Batman's world. That's really one of the themes of this game, is seeing the pieces start to form the puzzle that we know that they're kind of slotting into place. So we will see characters. The characters we've announced, for example, are Captain James Gordon. Now, at the start of this game, Captain James Gordon, not Commissioner Gordon, Captain Gordon, is one good cop in this bad city, and we know that eventually they'll become great allies, Batman and Gordon, right? But at the start of this game, Gordon's heading up a vigilante task force. He's hunting the Batman. So that's one example of a character we know eventually how it's going to end up, but we actually get to experience changes in these characters' relationships through the events in this game. We haven't announced anything about Barbara. It's interesting that you bring her up, but we haven't said anything about her yet.
Okay. And we have already seen a few villains. Of course, we knew Black Mask was going to in it. We saw the Joker, Deadshot, and Anarchy. You showed Anarchy. Is there anything more? Are there some backstories that we're going to see that pick up at a point before we meet them in the other games?
Well, yes, there's going to be many of them, but we can't reveal more than what you said here at E3. We launch in October. This is the first time we're showing the game to the public, so we will have a bunch more reveals between now and then. So if you're enthusiastic about Batman and you're interested about knowing more about these characters, keep watching and we'll show them to you.
Now about the world. It's open world again. How big is it going to be compared to Arkham City?
Our open world is more than twice as large as the world of Arkham City. So it's a large expanse, it's very diverse. The place that we're showing here at E3 is what we call South Gotham. It's this tall, majestic area. It's much more of a downtown core, whereas the area featured in Arkham City that was converted into a prison was more of a slum area. So we have an area that's actually very different to navigate through. Batman's great grapple and glide gameplay for movement really comes alive in a different way in the New Gotham area. So we see the ability to shoot up much higher, to dive much faster, and to connect, to use these interconnections, these catwalks, these pipes, these cables, various things that connect the buildings together to build up speed and kind of dive through various obstacles and get a very dynamic style of movement that's very unique to the South Gotham Island.
But I guess we're still not going to have vehicles, no Batmobile actually that we're going to be driving.
No, there's no Batmobile. There's storm conditions in the city and the streets are very much filled with snow.
Okay. And in the second game, it was kind of a problem to keep to the story, to know where you're going to go next, because there were so many tasks right and left from the road. How are you going to keep the mind of the player focused? Are you going to heap side quests on them just as much?
Well, we have various different categories of types of content. We do have a main story, which the player is very much focused on. But I believe in an open world game, a major part of the draw to those games is about choice. It's about choosing what you're going to do next. So we have various characters such as Anarchy. He's one example we've revealed so far, who's what we call the most wanted. He's not an assassin, he's not working for Black Mask, but he has his own plans going on tonight. So the player, once he's revealed, can choose to go and engage with him. And if he does, and he follows up all the way through and takes down Anarchy, he'll get a unique upgrade at the end of taking down Anarchy. It's something he can't get anywhere else. But the player can finish the story and come back and do it then if he wants, or he can follow up right from the moment that he first sees Anarchy. So we do very clearly, I think, categorize, which things are parts of the story and which things are non-core. So the player shouldn't be confused. But I believe that rather than going to your map and only having one thing blinking on there, it kind of defies the point of an open world game. Having lots of choice, it really, I think, makes you feel like you are the character in the world at that moment, and you can choose what you're going to do based on what you want.
Okay. So you've taken over the same engine that was used for the first and the second game. Have you tweaked it a little bit?
Well, there's always modifications going on. We have a heavily modified Unreal Engine 3. We as you said, developed by Rocksteady, so they're using the Epic technology for that as the core. And we've been building new characters, new features, new tools on top of that. But really, there's been a great foundation provided by what Rocksteady provided. So that basic control feel, that animation style, that movement, all that AI comes from that core from those games. So we're really building on something really fantastic.
Wasn't that a little bit hard to squeeze something new in there? There have been so many gadgets before, but you've just showed us 2 new ones with the interconnecting line and such. And how do you explain that even? Because it's at the beginning of his career and we haven't seen them in places when we were later in his career.
Well, Batman has a rotating armory, right? If you look at the comic books, it's not like he always has the same 3 gadgets and only those. There's different gadgets he'll turn up with, or technologies, or approaches in different stories. And sometimes, for some reason, at the end of a story, he might discard it, or he might shelf it, or it might come back later. I don't think in those stories you tend to find yourself thinking, well, why doesn't he have that one that he had 30 issues before? Because maybe he didn't bring it that time. In terms of our game, we're making a game. So our first responsibility is to make a great game experience. So we are removing some gadgets, we're adding new ones. There are some interesting story reasons why some of those gadgets turned up. I'm not going to tell you how Batman gets the remote claw, but that's not a Wayne Tech device, that's something else. So as an example of something how we introduce it, as to why Batman doesn't have it later, does he need it? Did he develop something else from it? That's another story to be answered at another time.
And you've also shown us a new, not a gadget, but a new detective mode where you can scrabble through a case or through the timeline of a crime taking place. And how often are we going to see that? Is that a major point?
There's a number of parts, a number of those case file encounters on the main path, but there's also a bunch more off to the side. Some of them are large scale, like the one we're showing here at E3 is very epic. There's a helicopter crashing. Some of them are more intimate. They're hidden murders, bodies that you might find somewhere, and you're wondering how the hell this person died. Some of them are, they're larger, they're smaller. Some of them are more personal, some of them are more epic. So there's a significant diversity to them, but I think there's only 3 of them on the main path. We're not forcing tons and tons of them on the player, but we think that for players that enjoy them, there'll be more opportunities to go and enjoy them if they want to go and find those other ones.
Okay, and last question, is the Riddler going to be in it, and are we going to chase Riddler trophies all over the city again?
Are you one of those people that loves chasing Riddler trophies?
I think I'm somewhere in the middle field. I like a few of them.
Right, so we've not made any announcements about the Riddler, but I can tell you that there was great gameplay in getting collectibles and having those open world challenges, and we'll have something for those people that we'll show more of later.
Okay, thank you.